Hey friends, Rick from BCW here with the FAB Breakdown. I was going to be breaking down how to prep for Pro Tour number 1 in New Jersey with the looming ban that is still yet to come on May 2nd. So we got a ban restricted coming out, and that's going to leave about 10 days for people to get ready for Pro Tour number 1 and the calling in New Jersey, if any changes are made. However, we did actually get a new update for FAB 2.0 from James White over at FABTCG.com on April 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So that is actually going to supersede, because this video, I'm going to be breaking that down. I thought it was going to be something small, something we could cover and then get into a deck tech, but this video is going to be pretty long as I go through my notes when it comes to that article that was posted by James White. So hats off to LSS for a wonderful FAB 2.0 article. If you'd like to read the article in full, I will put a link to that article in the description of this video. So make sure you head on over, check out the full article for yourself. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor, BCW Supplies. Hey friends, Rick from BCW Supplies here with this product spotlight. Once again, I'm talking about the BCW Mini Snaps. The BCW Mini Snaps is my preferred way of keeping my legendary and cold foils in a protective shell that will help, one, protect them from all elements, dust, dirt, debris, and things of that nature, but also allows me a nice way to play with these without having to worry about the cards getting bent in transportation or in use. So head on over to bcwsupplies.com and check out the BCW Mini Snaps. While you're there, take a look at the top loaders and magnetic card holders that BCW has to offer. But I also wanted to point out an additional product in this video spotlight. We're talking about the DVLX 100. Last time I showed off the mini snaps, I talked about using the DVLX 200. Well, this time we're talking about the DVLX 100. This is my preferred deck box when I go play Flesh and Blood at events. Reason being is it's absolutely wonderful for having a dice tray here at the top. I can have all my dice in it. And then we have a deck tray that slides out here at the bottom. And if you notice, the mini snaps that we're talking about fit into this deck tray very nicely, and it does fit right back into the box. So we have dice storage, we have card storage, and we can even fit our mini snaps from BCW all in one deck box, making this a great choice for protecting your legendaries and your class constructed decks. Remember, when you are checking out at BCW Supplies, that you use the discount code FAB Breakdown. That's right, use discount code FAB Breakdown at checkout, and that'll take 10% off your entire order at bcwsupplies.com. Now, this is only applicable for retail and guest level pricing for checking out at the website, but 10% off is a great savings for you just by using the code. And when you use that code, it helps support the content that I create for Flesh and Blood. Well, let's go ahead and get into the FAB 2.0 breakdown. All right, so FAB 2.0 dropped on April 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and there's a lot to cover. There is at least 2 pages worth of notes. They broke that article up into 3 different parts, so I'm going to break this up into those parts as well. So if you're following along in the article, or if you've already read the article, I will do my best to stay in each section. So I've got my notes here. Let's go ahead and get into it. Part 1 was about no more first edition boxes when it comes to new product coming out. And that doesn't mean they're doing away with first edition of the cold foil treatments or the extended arts. They went on to explain that for the life of a product, so however many times they print a product run, they will still have cold foil legendaries in them, although they are increasing the rarity of them. They're still going to be legendary, but you're only going to get 1 in every 6 to 8 boxes, whereas before you get on average 1 in 4 boxes. So cold foil legendaries are going to become more collectible than they already are, but you're going to be able to get them no matter when you buy that product moving forward with the new release. Rainbow foils are going to be released at the same time as the cold foils in that print run. So we're going to have rainbow foil legendaries and cold foil legendaries all out of the same print run. They've decreased the rarity, so to speak, on those as well, whereas before it was still about 1 in 4 boxes. Now it looks like it's going to be about 1 in 2.5 to 1 in 3 box chance of getting that legendary item in rainbow foil. So that is good news, because that means there should be more legendaries out there for you to purchase or for you to open. And that's just going to help people that are wanting to play with the new heroes or with the new equipment or the new legendaries, whatever they may be. So that is, we are able to get a cold foil in every pack. It did list the cold foils as 1 in 24 packs, which is awesome as well, because that means we're going to be looking at getting a cold foil equipment. So you're still going to be able to get the cold foil treated cards. They're not going to be as rare or rarer than they were. We're still going to have rainbow foils in every pack, except for the pack I'm going to assume that comes with the cold foil. And we have a new rarity called Marvel. Now this is replacing what was the extended art or alternate art Majestics that we had in the last couple of sets. We're now going to have its own rarity level. Those cards are also going to be available, not extended art, not alternate art, in their normal rarity level. So for example, if it's a Majestic, that's still going to be available in the Majestic as a normal card, and you're also going to be able to get potentially a Marvel version of it. Those Marvels are still going to be as rare as they currently are, which is extremely hard to pull, and they are going to have a new identifier. This triangle is going to identify that that is actually a Marvel card. So that is awesome that they're doing that. Again, more things for collectors to collect and more things for people that open packs to have and just be like, wow, I opened something really cool or really good or valuable. So hats off to them for addressing that and doing that. Up next was the product they talked about, which was History Pack number 1. Now this was actually spoiled on Twitter in advance by screenshots from what appear to be distributors soliciting retail stores purchasing History Pack 1. So here's the information that they had in the article. It is going to be available May 6th. It is going to be white bordered reprint cards from Crucible, Arcane Rising, and Welcome to Wraith. And there are going to be no foils. Now this is a phenomenal product for getting new players into the game, as opposed to in the past when you would have to go buy all of the boxes like we've had to buy in the past to just get caught up and get the unlimited stuff. You're now able to get these reprinted cards in white border. We don't have a complete list of what cards are going to be in there. There were some in the article that were posted. So we do see the Fendel Spring Tunic. We see some other desirable cards there. I think that Spring Tunic actually looks really amazing in white border, personally. Now, in conjunction with the History Pack, they're using this to do the 4 new language printings of Flesh and Blood. So Flesh and Blood will have 4 additional language other than English. These are going to be localized European languages. So we're going to have French, German, Italian, and Spanish. And for the first print run of the historic packs in those regions, they're going to have what are referred to as the Black Label print run. Now this is going to have black border cards in it and some other special items. Now I don't know what that means. It could be foil treatments, it could be cold foils, it could be extended arts or alternate arts. We don't know yet, but that is awesome that the game is expanding and is now going to be offered in multiple languages. The downside to this, though, is that collectors are going to be collectors. And if you say there's a short print run of a product and it's very unique, I can see collectors doing their best to scoop up as much of it as possible, which could limit the product availability in those regions to people that actually would prefer to have the game printed in their own language. Not to fear, though, Legend Story Studios did say they were going to continue printing that product, but it will be the white border and less collectible to be like the regular history packs, just in the foreign languages. And they're going to roll out these history packs with more frequency in new market areas, so new languages as they come on board and as they need to release this product. So they did say that History Pack number 2 would actually release sooner in these localized areas in Europe before it's printed and released in the US. Again, these are all just reprint cards. These are cards that most of us probably already have in our collection. I do think it's going to be awesome. I'm going to get my hands on some of the English white bordered cards. I'm going to open up some boxes personally. I think it's cool, and I want to have some. So I think the tunic is why I want to do it. Let's be honest. I really want a white border tunic. I think it looks awesome. So that was the Black Label. It does look like the Black Label is going to be out July 1st of 2022, which means that that product is going to be available in those 4 new languages in the beginning of July, whereas the History Pack again is going to be available May 6th in English printings. So super excited about all that. That was pretty much part 1 boiled down. Now let's get into part 2 of this FAB 2.0. In part 2, they talked about something that was very crucial in my opinion, which was more focused on casual play for Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood was a wonderful game that came out, and it's filled a niche of competitive play. We have organized play, we have large scale events, we have something that people can grind for and play at with high dollar rewards. Sounds amazing. However, not every player wants to play competitively. And the problem is if you have a couple of competitive players in your local scene and the rest of the people are casual, those competitive players, unfortunately, can accidentally push casual players away because they're investing in the game. They're trying to play the top tier decks. They're buying all the legendary cards. When you have casual players wanting just to play and have fun, they don't enjoy just constantly getting steamrolled by the competitive players or people spending more money. And I have personally seen this. I know I've seen a lot of people in different Facebook and Discord groups talking about the loss of the casual player base because of this, and Legend Story Studios is addressing it. So first off, they talked about more lore, more stories, books, things of this nature, which is absolutely wonderful. Something the game needs more people to sink their teeth into, fall in love with, find out the history and lore of your favorite characters. They have some wonderful articles up on their website, but printed book form will do wonders in my opinion because they have a beautiful background and a beautiful story. There are characters out there that I want to know more about. I personally want to see Viserai in a story. Come on, tell me the deep dark secrets. They also talked about PvE. Now they briefly mentioned it. It was just a paragraph long. It's something in development, but it is a player versus environment way to play Flesh and Blood. It's a co-op where you're playing against an opponent or an entity, a deck. And the one thing I really liked that they mentioned there is it has a variable length depending on what the party wants to do. So that makes me think of things like Marvel Champions, which is a living card game where you can play a shorter version of the game or you can add in more side stories, more plots, more monsters, more things to have to overcome as a group and raise the difficulty level up, which would make the game longer. So I'm really hoping that this is kind of the direction we're gonna see the PvE format go. Super fun to play and a nice casual way to play the game. They also updated the Ultimate Pit Fighter official rules, and they put it here in the article, right there. There it is. The Ultimate Pit Fighter is now has some new clarified rules. Young heroes only, 11 card inventory, weapons and equipment, 40 card decks, up to 2 copies of each unique card. And every card is legal, including cards such as Go Bananas or Taylor. Now, that is absolutely amazing because it's a way to play with some of those special promo cards like Go Bananas. It gives them creativity, leeway to make more types of that promotional material if they so choose that would not necessarily be legal for Class Constructed or Blitz, but it would be legal in Ultimate Pit Fighter. And Ultimate Pit Fighter is a multiplayer way to play Flesh and Blood. So super happy about that. But the one that got my creative juices flowing, the one that I was super excited about was Commoner is official. Yes, Commoner, sometimes referred to as Pauper, but from here on out will be referred to as Commoner, actually has official suggested rules from LSS in this article. Briefly, it's 40 card decks of common only cards. It's 11 inventory cards where up to 2 cards can be rare and all other cards must be common or token. Young hero and up to 2 copies of any card. That is Commoner. There it is. For anybody wanting to know what it is, it's a cost-effective way to play the game. You're taking out all the really powerful Majestics and Legendaries, and you kind of even the playing field from the new player to the experienced player. You're getting a completely different way. I don't care if you play a lot of Blitz or play a lot of Classic Constructed, Commoner is going to feel different. Heroes are going to feel different. Heroes are going to play differently. All right, now one side note, they did say that the rare young heroes are also accepted in Commoner. And they did also go on to say that it should be a 30-minute best of 1 format with an independent banned suspended list for Commoner. And that got me excited because that means they're going to be putting thought into it. They're going to be watching it as a format. And if there's something super abusive or if it turns into just like like Blitz did early on with Ira winning everything, they can go through and they can suspend or ban cards out of Commoner. So we don't have an issue with cards like Drone of Brutality, which was not a common, but we don't have issues of cards like Drone of Brutality creating a stagnant format and making it really not a fun casual format to play. Super excited. I plan on doing some Commoner deck techs for you guys. I also plan on playing a lot of Commoner. So I'm going to do my best to have Commoner decks on me when I go to callings or large events. If you're into the Commoner format, and you see me at an event and I'm not playing in something, ask me if I want to get a game in. Odds are the answer is yes, I do. All right, and that is going to take care of part 2. The final and third part of this already extensive FAB 2.0 update from James White is more geared towards the competitive players. Now, part 3 starts off talking about ELO. Now, ELO is a ranking system, points that you earn at competitive events. These points give you a ranking, and previously it was only available through callings, Pro Tours, and World Championship. Now you're able to get ELO for other types of events. So your battle hardened events are going to have ELO. Your Pro Quests at store levels are going to have ELO, and so will your Road to Nationals, and so will Nationals. So all of this is going to generate ELO, which is a ranking system. And they said it was a path to qualify for Pro Tour or World Championship, which is absolutely amazing. Another way to qualify, something clearly defined, and another reason for people who are into competitive card games to travel to these large events, because you're grinding out those points, you're grinding out that ELO, because I'm sure it's going to be something very similar to what we saw with XP for Pro Tour number 1, where the top X number, in this case, was 100. 90-day XP got a Pro Tour invite. Well, it may be the top 100 ranked ELO players in Constructed or in Limited will get a invite to a Pro Tour or to a specific event requiring a PTI. So super happy to see that. Giving more incentive for people to go out and play at their local store events that now can generate ELO, as well as even more of an incentive for competitive players to attend callings and battle hardened events. Next up, they talked about the suspended option for the Blitz format. This is just a new form of ban, restricted, suspended. Suspended was specifically outlined for Blitz, and it'll allow them to suspend cards. Currently, there are no cards on the suspended list. I would expect, though, with this kind of announcement in here, to see them suspend cards in the May 2nd release. It's going to allow them to change and modify the Blitz format for a specific period of time, and they give some examples of suspended for 3 months, suspended for X time period, will be unsuspended automatically on such and such a date. So that is weird in my opinion, because like if you're going to suspend a card, why not just ban it or restrict it and then unban it? But maybe this is just so they can say they're suspending it at a banned restricted, and then at the next banned restricted, if they decide they didn't want to keep it suspended, it won't be on the suspended list, and they don't have to make a big deal about it being unsuspended. Just make sure that you're following along with those banned restricted announcements and make sure that you see if what you're playing is legal. All right, the last thing that they updated in this FAB 2.0 article was the Living Legend status or changes to Living Legend rules, sort of. So they didn't change Living Legend at all. Bravo, star of the show, is still on the should get there by May 2nd, but we don't know. They didn't make any radical changes like that. What they did is they tied a weapon to the heroes based on the weapon that they came out with them. So for example, Katsu came out in WTR, and he is associated with the Harmonized Kodachi. So if or when Katsu hits Living Legend status, so does Harmonized Kodachi. Now remember, Living Legend status is split between Class Constructed and Blitz. So just because one hero hits Living Legend in Class Constructed does not mean that that weapon would then be banned in Blitz as well, or Living Legend in Blitz. It would just be in Class Constructed. And I bring that up only because all the ninja classes currently use Harmonized Kodachi as a weapon choice in Blitz. So Ira and Benji and Katsu. So I could see this potentially being a problem down the road, depending on the Living Legend points and heroes and things of that nature. I don't think we have anything really to worry about with Katsu, specifically in Blitz, because Ira and Benji, especially Benji right now, seem to be a little bit better, but we don't know what the future holds and what cards could come out. Just something to be aware of in a specific format. If a hero has a weapon tied to them and they have a list right there, hits Living Legend status, the weapon associated with them is gone. Not all heroes have weapons. Bravo, star of the show, does not have a weapon, and he looks to be the first hero that will hit that Living Legend status. So all in all, a really good article from Legend Story Studios. They did a great job. I've not really seen any critique of this article in a negative tone. I've seen some wishful critiques where people were wanting to see more base sets or core sets come out just because of limited format, because of drafting and sealed, which I understand. The last draftable set we had come out was Tales of Aria, and the next set that's going to be draftable doesn't come out until the end of June. So if you're coming out with 2 core sets a year and 1 supplemental set a year, there's going to be a period of time where you have no limited play. And for those of us that like sealed or like draft, it's really hard to be excited to play a format that's been out for 6 months or longer. So I do hope that that is something in the future that we could see, maybe more core sets coming out. But I also think that as more cards are added to Flesh and Blood, and it's a non-rotating format, it takes a lot longer for the formats to be figured out, for heroes to be explored, for cards to see their full potential. I mean, there are still cards and decks and deck types still being discovered, and people are trying different things. So I think if you start putting too much product out too fast, you don't have enough time to really enjoy that product. So I don't know. I don't know if there is a fix for it. I kind of like the pace now because it seems like we get to explore everything. But that I can't see why people are saying that they would like to have at least 3 core base sets come out plus 1 supplemental set. That way it's spread out where you have 4 months of sealed per base set that comes out, and then use that lull that happens post-November, December-ish timeframe through early mid-January for that supplemental set, that holiday set to drop, if you will, that has cards that increase the already existing card pool for cards that are already out, like what Everfest was, what Crucible of War was. So all right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the FAB Breakdown. I hope I was able to cover all the points. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Remember, I'm going to link the article from FAB 2.0 from FABTCG.com in the description of this video. And we're also going to have a link to BCW supplies if you're looking for mini snaps or storage solutions. make sure you check out BCW Supplies. Support the channel by using the discount code FAB Breakdown. And until next time, get out there, have some fun, play some Flesh and Blood in the Flesh and Blood. But most importantly, remember, be kind.